Good morning, this is David from Rogers Gardens, and so doing November checklist in the garden. I'm going to be talking about the vegetables, I'm going to be talking about the herbs and the flowers and some of the bulbs we'll be planting. So our weather in November is starting to gradually change, so we're starting to get colder, we're getting closer into winter, but the days are going to get shorter, the nights are going to get colder. We're still a little bit warm in the day, but we're still cold at night. So that's why I'm going to be talking about the cool winter vegetables, the cool winter flowers. So all your cool weather stuff. So some stuff is going to start slowing down, but we're really prepping going into the winter or into November and then December. Now I want to be talking about some of the winter vegetables. So as we get colder and damper at night, the winter vegetables are going to really come into season. So the one thing that's different is as the summer vegetables start winding out, summer vegetables don't like cold nights and they don't like damp nights. So that's why I'll be ripping out my basil, my tomatoes, all my peppers, all that stuff. And I love making pesto out of my basil. So that's something I'm going to be doing this week. So to start it off, all your leafy greens. So this is Freckles lettuce right here. This is more of an heirloom romaine lettuce, but all your leafy greens. So your lettuce, your spinach, your kale, your broccoli, all that stuff. So I always do, and I'll do either plants or seeds. Lettuce can come up easy from seeds, so it doesn't matter, you know, so you can do either the color packs of the lettuce or you could do the seeds, whatever you want to do, but all the leafy greens. So like the kale, I had one of the green, this is green Siberian kale. This is a really good one. A little trick too when you're pulling them out, you pinch them. You pinch the bottom of the container, and if they're root bounded off, if they're showing a lot of roots, I just peel that bottom off, and then I sort of butterfly the roots. So that's how I plant it, just like that. Plant it, you know, pretty level with the ground, and so that's why you don't want to go deeper. You don't want to go you know, too high, too deep, but so that's with all the kale. So all the kale from the Siberian, the Red Russian, you have the lacinato, the Italian kale, all of them. Now's the time to put them in. Celery, do celery right now. This is one of my favorite varieties called Tango. I love Tango, but what I do different with celery, some people let it go all the way to the head and then they harvest. I do a cut and come again. So I just keep harvesting. Utah Giant, there's a whole bunch of them, but when these will last until it gets warmer, so these will go all the way through winter into spring, but when it gets March and April, rip them out, they get bitter. All your onions right now too. So this is yellow Spanish. These are nice plants. Look at these plants, guys. These are really nice. But what I do is sometimes I'll divide them in the middle. I'll pull it right down the middle, and these are really pretty rooted, so I'll pull it right out like that. Basically, the reason why I'm doing this is, see how like I hold it really low? I want to plant it up to about here, but if I plant them about 8 inches apart, 10 inches apart, I'm going to get a larger bulb. Now, if I leave them all together like this, the bulbs won't get bigger, guys, so you got to always plant them a little farther apart so this bulb has all the nutrients in the water, they're not competing. So, but these are nice starts. You can even lightly cut them back if you want, just don't touch that central growth in the middle. That's important, but very nice starts, very good to plant them. So you can do the Spanish yellow, you can do all the sweet onions like the granics. Now we go after the short day onions, so don't do any long days. So down here, we do the same onions as they do in Texas, the short days. So that's important when you're watching for onions or you're doing seeds. Granix, Granio, Texas Sweet, all of them, you know. So if you can find them. There's a good one called Candy. We might have it as we go more into this month. So watch for those short day types, and that's with onions. Going into the broccoli and the cauliflowers. Now's the time to do the broccoli and cauliflower. This is asparagus brock. This is more like a cross between broccoli rapinii and regular broccoli. So you get some good shoots, but the main thing with this one, you got to keep cutting it. You don't want to let it go to flower. So that's important with the asparagus brock. And you even have Destiny broccoli, there's Destiny, this is a good one. I always go for the larger head varieties, so they could be any of them, like the early dividend, the Destiny, the Emperors, all of them. you got to watch out with some of the Italian heirlooms because they're going to be smaller. So when you look at the Desicchios and the Calabresiais and all those, heads are going to be littler, maybe 3 to 4 inches. When they do finish the head around after Christmas, barely cut underneath it, fertilize, and you'll get more florets through the late winter. So, but yeah, definitely with all the broccoli right now. Cauliflower is good right now too. So cauliflower, this is snowball. You have a whole bunch of different cauliflowers. Now cauliflowers only have one head. So after they're done, you just dig them out, and what I'll do is I'll actually fertilize and replant them, but these are about 75, 80 days. There's snowball, sometimes we get amazing, there's some different varieties, but now is the time to plant these. So even Brussels sprouts and all of these, it's the time now. So this is the garlic right here. Garlic is the same way. You could do cloves, you could do the plants. I do separate them. Now, one thing that I should mention with onions and garlic and shallots, they take a long time. So put them in an area of the garden where you're going to let them sit all the way till about May or June. So they take a little while. They can take 180 to 200 days. So be patient with them because they won't start bulbing up in late April, May. So that's why you got to be very patient with the garlic and the onions and the shallots. And so, so that's pretty much it with the cool season vegetables. And then I'll talk more about some of the seeds. So a lot of these I do at starts and plants. And then there's another group when I go into seeds, I'll talk about the plants I do from seeds. Now I'm going to be talking about what herbs to plant as we go into November. So the biggest change with herbs right now is I'll start going away from the annual herbs that are more the summer herbs. So the basil and the dill and some of those heat lovers, they're gone. But right now I'm really looking at the perennial herbs. And so like right now I'm looking at the different varieties of oregano. This is one of my favorites. This is Mexican oregano. Mexican oregano, I love the flavor, but you can do Greek oregano, Mexican oregano, Italian oregano, there's Cuban oregano, there's a whole bunch of them. So oreganos are great to plant. They're going to be a little slower when it's colder, but I still plant them right now because right now you're going to get good root development. So that's with the oregano. So plant your oreganos right now. Cilantro. So we're getting in a lot of cilantro right now. So people don't realize with cilantro, cilantro likes cold weather. Cilantro doesn't like hot. Even though it gets pinned as more of an herb that they use for salsas in summer and dishes in summer, it loves the cool weather. So if you plant it right now, sometimes you'll get a couple months out of it. So just keep cutting it. Don't cut it hard when you go to harvest it. Just cut it about an inch above the soil, and then you could use that and it will keep coming all the way into like March or April. So that's important with the cilantro. So likes the cool, doesn't like the hot, lasts better right now. All the sages, another good perennial. So all your cooking sages, like this is Bergarten. You have Chef's Choice, you have purple, you have tricolor, you have all of them. So now you can do the sages. So these are your Salvia officinalis. They're going to stay lower. Watch them for powdery mildew a little bit. If they get powdery mildew, I'll use one of the organic fungicides like the sulfur spray by Safer or a copper, but watch the mildew on the salvias. And so going forward, all the rosemaries are good. I like barbecue. Barbecue is a really good one. I like another one called Spice Island. Spice Island's good. These varieties tend to stay smaller. I know you guys like to go after the Tuscan Blue, but that one gets big. So if you have the room for it, but I like barbecue, Spice Island. Those are two good forms of rosemary. And rosemary planted right now, great perennial, lasts for a long time. The thyme is good right now. English thyme is your main variety. Some people go for French. There's lemon thyme, there's orange thyme, there's a whole bunch of different varieties. There's lime thyme, but English is your common thyme. So when you're looking for the thyme that they use and they dry with, it's the English variety. So that's with the thyme. Thyme is easy to grow, just full sun and keep trimming it. The cooking thymes get taller. They're not a ground cover type. So ornamental thymes stay lower. Cooking thymes are like a little mini bush. So that's with the thyme. You can still do lavender right now. One of my favorites is Provence. This is a French hybrid. This is good for cutting. They're going to be slower this time of year. They're not going to be doing a lot, but at least they'll get their roots established. So definitely some of your different varieties of lavender, like the English types, the French types, whatever varieties, but these are the culinary ones. These are good to use the flowers in tea and all that stuff, and oils and creams, all that. So Provence, that's my favorite. Even though the annual basils are done for the year, like the sweet basil and the Thai basil, but I still plant the African blue basil. The reason why I plant this is it's a perennial basil that I use it to support the bees. So the bees love the pollen. So it's not as much of a culinary variety, but I will plant one, always like 1 or 2 in my garden, and I let it establish through the winter. So then in spring, when the bees are really active, they have pollen to go to, so they have food. So good one for the pollinators, the bees. So that's a good one. I still will do mint. This is berries and cream, one of my favorite varieties. There are some really good mints. Mints are going to slow way down right now, and even in the next couple weeks, they're going to start going semi-dormant. I tend to put them in containers, but I like to get the roots established. I like planting in the fall because it gives plants a time to establish their roots, and when they come out in spring, they're going to really produce new growth. So that's why I will plant a lot of the mints, even though they're sort of slowly going dormant. Lovage, or lavage they sometimes call it. This is a relative to the celery family. This is good for soups and stews, so I'm carrying lovage. And there's a lot of other stuff that you can put, but mainly concentrate on the perennials. Parsley. Parsley is a great perennial right now to plant because it likes the cool weather. It doesn't like the hot weather. So sometimes you'll see parsley bolt in the summer. Doesn't like the heat, likes the cool. So this is the dwarf flat leaf. There's a lot of cultivars of parsley. There's curl leaf, there's triple curl leaf, there's Italian giant. I like the flat leaves, but you can really use any of them for cooking and for different recipes. But I love the flat leaf, the dwarf or the giant. That's my favorite. And so that's pretty much it for the herbs, but just plant all the perennial herbs right now. That's important. So now I want to be talking about the flowers going into November. So now that we're cooling down and we're shorter days, a lot of the summer plants that are flowering are going to start finishing. So all the salvias and the penstemons and all that stuff is going to start finishing out. I do really turn to annual flowers this time of year to give me some color. So for like the sun annuals, I'm always looking at, like, I love the violas. So this is a little lavender variety. This is sorbet ice blue. So I love the little violas because I get so much color out of them. So they'll bloom now all the way until probably about April, May, or even longer, depending on the heat. So violas, put them in now. Pansies, it's pansy season now. Now that we're really cooling off at night, damper at night, loves full sun and damp and cool, but pansies are great. There's a lot of different varieties of pansies. This was just a purple variety, sort of like a two-tone white purple flower, but pansies are good to put in right now. Plant those. All your snapdragons. So all your taller snapdragons, like your sonnets, your dwarf varieties. So do the snaps. Snaps are great for more background height. Some snaps can get about 12 inches tall, 8 to 10 for the dwarfs, and usually about 2 feet or so for the taller varieties. But my favorite sort of medium height variety is sonnet. I love sonnets. So that's one that's really good. Sonnet's a good one. So all the snaps going right now. And the stock too. This is like the 7-week stock. We have midget stock, but the one thing with stock is it's very fragrant. So you can actually cut these and bring them in the house because they're very fragrant. So I love stock. So you can plant these right now because they love the cold weather. They love the cool nights. And so with the other flowers, the Icelandic poppies. So these poppies are great. We do a variety called champagne bubbles, which is a mix. So they're orange flowers and salmon and yellow, but I love the Icelandic poppies because they'll bloom all the way now, even into spring. They're a long bloomer, so they'll even go through even into like March and April. So Icelandic poppies are good right now. Then we're just starting to get some of the ornamental kale and ornamental cabbage. So this is an ornamental cabbage. This is a purple variety. Now's the time to plant them. So there's green, there's green ornamental cabbage, there's purple, there's red, there's a bunch of colors, and we'll get them more as we go into this month. And then all the kale. So this is a white kale. So there's red kale. Kale tends to be a little bit more flatter, where the cabbage tends to be more taller and more rounder, but now is the time to plant them. Watch them if you have the animals a little bit, because sometimes the bunnies can chew on them, but they're great for planting right now. Ornamental kale, ornamental cabbage. And with other flowers, there's a lot of other stuff. You can still do perennials right now. Like, I didn't bring a lot of perennials up, but you can still do perennials. But remember, perennials are going to slow down right now, a lot of the summer ones, and you'll cut them back right now. So that's one thing with scabieuses and all of them. I can still plant them, but I know they're going to go dormant in the next couple weeks. Okay, now this time of month, I'm talking about what varieties of vegetables I do from seeds. And so the main ones, I'm always doing, like, let's go through them. So the beets, I'm always doing the beets. I love the bull's blood. That's a great variety. I love the more of the root crops too, like the carrots. I'm doing the red core chutneys. And then I got the tender sweets are another really good variety. Now the one thing, if you're doing carrots and beets, do the seeds very shallow. Seeds are very tiny. Sometimes I'll only go a 1/16 of an inch deep. I know a lot of people like to do rows, but I like to take the seeds and put them in my hand, and then I open my fingers a little bit, and then I shake them through my fingers, so then I broadcast the seed. And what that will help do is it will help me I don't have to thin out the seeds. So I know a lot of you guys like to do little rows, but I'll take a little block that's 1 foot by 2 feet. I'll put the seeds in the palm of my hand, and then I'll open up my fingers and I'll shake them through. And that's a good way to distribute the seeds really good. So some of the little red radishes, these are more spicy. Like the cherry bells, I know a lot of people like them, but they're a little bit more spicy. I like the French breakfast. They're really good because they're sweeter. Now, one thing with radishes, you got to be careful when you do plant them. They're very, very fast. They can be 30, 35, 40 days from seed. So they're very quick. So you got to keep an eye on them, because if you keep them too long in the ground, they'll split. So that's important if you're doing the radishes. Some of the Easter egg radishes take longer, but when you get into the little cherry bombs and the cherry bells and the French breakfast, 30, 35 days, so very, very fast. So another root crop that nobody talks about are the turnips or the rutabagas. The flavor of these, if you ever grow these, they take time. They'll take about 75 to 85 days, so they take time. But oh, they're so good. You can make almost like steam them and mash them. Where turnips, rutabagas, this is called American purple top. So good. Yeah, I know the bugs really like them, so the pill bugs and the snails and caterpillars, and I just use like Sluggo. Sluggo is a good one by Monterey Garden Products, but I love the rutabagas, and so turnip rutabagas. All the leafy greens like I was talking earlier, so I can do the lettuce. I love this. This is, again, my favorite variety, gourmet baby greens. It's a mixture of leaf lettuces. Love the flavor, so they'll come up quick, 7 to 10 days. Wait about 20 days before you start harvesting them, but oh, I love them because it's cut and come again. You can do butter crunch and bib, but you got to remember with the butter crunch and bib, once you cut that, it's not coming back. It's one head. So the crisp heads and the butter crunch and the Boston bib, only one. I do like more of the leaf lettuces. I do like the Asian baby leaves. These are really good. They tend to be more spicier. They'll have mustard greens and different varieties of tatsoi in them. So really good, but a little more spicy. One of my other favorite varieties, I found it's called Wine Country Mescaline. So this is another mixture of different lettuces and greens. I love it. And you know, I can always take, another thing that people don't realize, I'll take some of the leafy spinach, I can mix them. I can mix them with the lettuces, and then I'll have spinach in my lettuce, or I can separate them, just depending on what you guys want to do. Sometimes even I'll go through and I'll take the arugula, the rocket, I can mix it in with lettuce. I'll get a more of a spicier mix, or I can do it by itself. I do like Matador. There's Oceanside that I didn't bring up, but I like these because they're more tender baby leaf lettuces, or spinach, I mean. But very good varieties, very tender. I don't like the crinkly leaf or the Savoy leaf varieties. They're too tough. So do the baby spinach, and spinach is great. Once it establishes, you can keep on cutting it. It keeps coming back. It's only going to last about March and April. It gets too hot after that. So do your spinach. Peas. So I don't plant a lot of peas from plants. I do seeds. So the sugar snap peas. So the sugar snap peas, I can eat the whole pod. they call these stringless, so they don't have that little string on the pod, so they don't have that fiber, so you can eat the whole thing, or you can shell them too. That's why I like, there's super sugar snaps, there's a couple of them sugar daddies. So get a little trellis. I usually just take, I'm a real simple gardener, so I like to take the bird netting. I'll take a stake, I'll staple this to the stakes, and it might be a 1x1 redwood stake. I'll plant these about every inch, but you know what I do too that's fun to do? I'll put this trellis out and I'll do half of the sugar snap, and then I'll do the other half with the Oregon snow peas. So then I get more of a mixture. So picture the trellis about 8 to 10 feet long, do half of the sugar snap peas, half of the snow peas. So that's what I like to do, but I don't like to build a lot of permanent structures. Very simple, 1x1 redwood bamboo, maybe about a foot in the ground, maybe about 5 feet tall, 8 feet long. Staple the bird netting to one side, pull it tight. If you want to do a top, you can actually screw a top in to make like a frame, and that will help it. If it's longer, you could even put stakes in the middle. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I like the bird netting. It's simple, easy to do. So moving on with the seeds, let's keep going with the seeds. So if you guys want to do more of like the cauliflower and the broccoli and the Napa cabbage, anything that takes longer, like this is called Twister. Twister is a good one. I could do Napa cabbage, any of these that take longer. So the other ones are really quick to seed. Anything that takes longer, like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, I'll go with the little jiffy pots, and then I'll do like a seed starting mix, like the Malibu seed starting mix. And then what I'll do is, in each little cell, I'll put 1 or 2 seeds, because broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, celery take longer to do from seeds, so I don't direct sow them. So that would be the difference with different seeds. All the leafy greens and all the kales and the arugulas and the cilantro, I can direct sow from seed. Some of the ones that take more time, do the containers, do them in the seed starting mix. I love the gold beets. There's one, this is Golden Boy, but Touchstone and all of them. You don't have to do a lot of beets from seeds, because each little fruit has 2 to 4 seeds in it. So don't do that many, just do a few. And so that's it with the vegetables. I want to plug that we got in, and now's the time to plant them. Don't wait any longer, as we got in Steve Hampson's sweet peas. So I got in a whole bunch of Steve Hampson sweet peas. And the one thing that's great with these, he grows it at home, he saves the seeds, and a lot of these are Spencer types. So they're long stem English varieties, and so, oh, these are good. So I'll probably have the plants in a few weeks, but I got the seeds now. So let me show you some of my favorites. Let's see if I can get organized more. I'm never that organized with stuff, but I'm getting better. I'm getting better. So there's a good one, Mary Priestley, really great white. Love that variety. Gwendolyn, I love Gwendolyn, more pinks with white highlights. There's a really dark variety called Dark Passion. That's a good one. So Dark Passion. One of my favorite varieties too is I love Charlie's Angel. This is such a good rebloomer, and they're so fragrant, where I love Charlie's Angel. New Zealand Gardener. It's more of a medium, sort of a bluey, a little darker, but good variety. Lisa Marie, good one. I tend to grow these in containers because I have a problem with pill bugs. So again, I'll do the jiffy pots and put 1 seed in there and let them grow for about 4 or 5 weeks before I put them in the ground. And what you can do them in containers too, but always get a cage or trellis that's at least 4 to 6 feet tall. Some of these varieties can get really tall, so that's what you got to watch out for. But I do like to start them in containers if you have insect problems, because the pill bugs, if I planted these in the ground, the pill bugs would just munch them to nothing. So you can start them in containers, or you can save. Sometimes I save my old color packs, and I put 2 seeds in each one and let them grow for 4 to 6 weeks. Then when I plant them, then the pill bugs won't munch them all the way down. November is the month you do your bulbs. So some of the spring flowering bulbs, you do them now. So some of the bulbs I'll be talking about, if you plant them now, they're going to come up and flower in spring. So a couple of the ones I like is, I love the Dutch iris. Now, the Dutch iris are going to get very long, skinny little flowers, and you put these in multiples. This pack has 10 bulbs. Sometimes I'll do them around the flowers, and sometimes I'll put I like to group bulbs. I don't like to put one here, one here. I might put maybe 6 of them together or 4 of them together. You get more interest and more pop out of the flowers when they're closer together. So that's the Dutch iris. This is a variety called Pink Panther. So good varieties. The other family that I like that's really a big family, let's see if I can get them all together, are your daffodils. I love daffodils. This is a little variety. You can actually force these in the house. So this is a little dwarf variety you can force in the house. They'll come up quick. The other varieties tend to be more outside. So this one is called Yellow Cheerfulness. And so this is a bigger variety. So plant them right now. Put them about 2 inches down. I don't go real deep, but I like to put them about 2 inches down. You have Trumpeter, which is another good daffodil. There's so many. Like another one that's probably the classic one is Dutch Master. So that's your classic daffodil. You don't really have to take them out because they will naturalize in our climate. They don't need cold winters. So that's why I do like some of the bulbs that will naturalize. Oh, I can divide them every like 2-3 years if they get too crowded. So put them in full sun, prep the soil so it's not so heavy clay, and they come up really strong in the spring. So all the daffodils are really good. Some of the other ones I like too, the freesias are really good. So this is called Single Blue. Freesia are so good because you can cut them and bring them in the house, and they're really fragrant, and you can cut any of these. So yeah, this one is the blue, and so you get a lot of bulbs in here. You get 20. So with this I could do like 5 over here in a little group and 5 over here and 5. So I can group them in little groupings, so then I get more of an interest. And sometimes I might put them around the roses. I might put them around some evergreen shrubs, but I like to make it look more natural. I don't really just do them in a row or do them in a line, but I'll put 4 or 5 over here, 4 or 5 over there, 4. I can even put them, mix them in with the pansies and the violas. And so great to do. And a lot of times too, people don't realize I can plant these under all of the annuals. So I can take a bigger container like this your basic terracotta, and I'll fill it with soil. I'll put the bulbs down about 2-3 inches, and I'll plant all my violas over them because then they'll come up through the middle. So I love to plant over them, and they're easy to do on that because you'll get 2 interests. So you'll get the bulbs coming up in the spring and the violas and the pansies. So I love the freesias. I brought up some whites. There's singles and doubles and different types. So this is a double flowering white, so good to plant right now too. Shifting gears, I do like the Ixias, and so this is a South African bulb. There's some really neat varieties of bulbs from the Cape of South Africa. I got Ixia. Ixias are really good. They naturalize and they bloom so great. So every couple years, divide them because they get really crowded and sometimes they sort of outcompete each other. So you get 35 in here. They're little, so again, I'll take 6 or 8 bulbs, put them over here, 6 or 8. Since they're little bulbs, the bigger the bulb, I plant deeper. The littler bulb, I might only put them a 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch deep. So I don't go deep. The smaller the bulbs, shallower. The deeper the bulbs, a little deeper. But if you go too deep, they'll rot out before they have a chance to really make it to the surface. So Ixias are great. So this is just a mixture called, they call them wand flowers. But yeah, good South African bulb. That's another one to plant right now. What else we got? Okay, we have some of the bulbs that you have to pre-chill. So I'm getting all of my hyacinths. So these are, you can force these too in forcing jars. With hyacinths and with different types of tulips. Let's go get the tulips. I got a parrot type right here that's called New Santa. So it's a red and white parrot type. Now, what's important with daffodils, or not daffodils, I mean hyacinths and tulips and even some crocus, you got to pre-chill them for about 6 weeks in the refrigerator. Sometimes I'll take a paper bag and I'll put them in there and I'll put them in a cool area and let them chill because we don't get cold enough here for them to really flower long. So that's why you want to chill them for about 6 weeks because then you'll get a longer stem. But after that, they don't really naturalize because we just don't get the colder weather. So a little bit of a one-shot deal. And so what else did I bring up? Did I bring anything else up? And I got a really neat variety called ballerina. So this is the lily flower, and so this is another variety of tulip. So really little single flower, and so that's nice to mix them up too, but definitely chill them. You can put them in pots, you can put them in the ground. But again, usually they won't come back as strong next year because we need that colder weather for them to chill. Now is the time for your Christmas amaryllis. So these are the Christmas amaryllis. We just got them in last week. So this is called apple blossom. The one thing I always tell people when you're picking out these bulbs that you're going to plant, you're always going to go about 4 to 6 weeks before you want them to come up. So if I plant them now, they're going to be ready around Thanksgiving. If I want them for Christmas, I'm going to plant them around the first week of December. So that's why I always give yourself about 4 weeks before. The bigger bulbs, and this is a thing that people don't talk about, the larger the bulb, you usually get more than 1 flower stalk out of them. You might get 2 to 3 flower stalks out of them. So that's why I always pick the bigger bulb. So apple blossom is a good one. One of my favorites is a really good red variety called Red Lion. There's a whole bunch of other ones. There's Pacoity, and there's a whole bunch of them, but pick the larger bulbs because you'll get a better chance of getting 2 to 3 stems out of these bulbs. For the little bulbs, you might only get 1 stem, so that's important for them. And you can just plant them in a little terracotta pot with some good potting soil, and you can even put some rock over them to make them more decorative. But yeah, definitely right now, this is your time for your Christmas amaryllis, or if you want to put them in for Thanksgiving, now's the time. Always 4 weeks before you want them to come up. So that's with those, and we got our paper whites in too. So paper whites, I'm getting all my paper whites. So paper whites are one of the easiest bulbs to force. So these are nice paper whites. So I just get a container like this, and it doesn't have drain holes, so I'll put potting soil in it. I know a lot of people like to use gravel and sand, and sometimes that can get sort of messy. I just put potting soil. I put about 3 or 4 of them in here, and I might cover it with a little bit of rock if I want. With this being like a container that doesn't have drainage, you'll put a little water in at a time and you'll let the soil absorb up. But the one thing when you're doing terracotta, remember, they're porous, so don't put this on something that could cause water damage. So if you do put, like I always do, like a little cork board underneath it, or you could put a little upside down saucer underneath. But remember, these are porous, so the moisture is going to come through these if you do use terracotta. But I always try to put them in a sunny location. If they're in too much shade, they're going to elongate and they're going to fall over. So it's very important in the house, if you put them near a sunny window and you constantly turn them, and that way they'll come up. But paper whites come up very quick, and sometimes early as 3 weeks, but always about 4 weeks. So that's time to do stuff now. If you want them, you would plant them now for Thanksgiving, and then December 1st, you'd plant them for Christmas. So I'm going to talk a little bit about November in terms of just organic maintenance, and or more or less like what we're controlling insects for the month. So even like as we get colder, a lot of insects will still be around. So if you have issues with the caterpillars, I use the BT. I like the BT because BT is very effective if you get caterpillars on your broccoli, cauliflower, or on your kale. So BT is a good one. It's a bacterial disease called Bacillus thuringiensis. So sometimes if the caterpillars are starting to get bad, every 2-3 weeks, just spray a little BT on them. So that's for the caterpillars. If you start to get any of the silver aphids on the broccoli or any other little mites or mealy bugs, I do like the organic soap sprays. So this is a good one. This is by Captain Jack's. What I like to do is when I use this up, I go get the concentrate and then I pour 1 or 2 tablespoons in it. So I never throw away the bottles. I always will reuse them with the concentrate. So that's another thing. But this works good for all sort of the aphids, the mealybugs, all the little stuff. And so that's a good one. If you're starting to run into any of the fungal problems, like the mildew on the roses, the mildew on the hydrangeas, any fungal problem, I do like the copper fungicide. I tend to use this more as we get colder, just because very effective. This is copper soap. So really effective for, I don't use it during the heat of the summer because sometimes it's too strong. And make sure you don't spray this around anything that's white. No white picket fences, no white walls because it could stain. If you're close to a white wall, then go for more of the sulfur sprays like the Safer 3-in-1. So that's important. Watch with white because you don't want to dye your picket fence. So that's with the copper. We're going to go into the wetter weather. We're probably going to get more rain. Watch for snails and slugs. I just use Sluggo. Sluggo is the only organic insecticide you can use in an edible garden. You can use around citrus, you can use around everything, because this is an iron phosphate. So it's iron, so it's toxic to snails and slugs, not to anything else. So it's safe for the pets, it's safe for everything, but it's not a methaldehyde base, because there's other snail baits that you don't want to use. So iron phosphate, really good one. And what I do is, where I'm seeing the damage the most, I'll just sprinkle a little bit here, sprinkle a little bit there. But the snails and slugs are going to get really active now that we're getting really damp in the morning and we're getting more rain. So watch for those. And another thing too is, I'm such a tool guy. I love tools. And so for maintenance, I love the stainless steel. Like, I love the little hand rakes because I can rake the leaves, I can rake stuff flat. So I love the little hand rake. I love the little trawl, little pointier. So I like these. I like the wood handles too, but I like the stainless steel because they don't rust. So I like the little scooper for the potting soil. So when you're dropping potting soil all over, so this has a little scooper, but the one thing that's cool is it has a backing to it, so it's not falling all over the place. I love that. I love the mud gloves. I'm always wearing mud gloves, so keep my hands clean. And another one is, I like the soaps, like sometimes I'll do different soaps. This is a kitchen garden soap. So sometimes I'll put this out near my hose so I can wash my hands if my hands get really dirty. So I like to carry or have a bar of soap around outside, so then I'm not making a mess inside. I can wash my hands outside. So that's good. This one is like rosemary, lemon, thyme. It's a good one. Yeah, little kitchen soap. Like using those. Another one is, I like to have like a bag. I always will do like a bag. Let me turn around. I love to put all my tools. I'm such a sort of a lazy gardener where I hate going back in the house. So I load all my seeds, all my tools. I have a bag or a carry bag. I like these because they have a lot of room in them, and they're more of a canvas. So they're not going to fall apart. They have a hard bottom, but it's more of a canvas. So they're pretty sturdy bags. Got a good leather handle, but I can throw all my tools in there. That way, seeds in there, bulbs in there. That way I'm not searching around for stuff. So great to have some containers and some stuff to move your tools and seeds and bulbs. Thanks for joining us today for November's garden checklist. And don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe. See you next time.